So welcome to day 24 of our HackerRank 30 days coding challenge, and today we are going to be talking about more linked lists. The task is this: a node class is provided for you in the editor. A node object has an integer data field, data, and a node instance pointer next pointing to another node. A remove duplicates function is declared for you in the editor, which takes a pointer to the head of the node, to the head node of a linked list as parameter, completes the remove duplicate so that it deletes any duplicate nodes from the list and returns the head of the updated list. Now, this is basically clear to understand. It's simply write a function that removes duplicates from a linked list. It's easy because in this case we are removing contiguous duplicates. So what it means is that we have 2, 3, 4, 4. We remove the duplicates, but we will have 2, 3, 1, 3, 4. We have these two duplicates here. Actually, this is what we are talking about, contiguous duplicates. And let's now solve the problem. I'm going to clean up what I've written here. Now I've set up a few linked lists to demonstrate exactly what we are going to be doing here. So if we want to remove duplicates from the linked list, first we want to check that we have this pointer to the head node and that this pointer is not null. It's not null. It means that we must have a head node. If there is no head node, then we return null. But if we have a head node, then we are ready to iterate. The first thing we want to check is to make sure that there is next. Is to make sure that there is a next node. So I could actually have given this case here. This is what I forgot here. So this is also an option. So in this case, give me 1 second. So in this first case, we have a head node, but the next is not null. Again, if head is null, we return. Then if it's not null, we are going to check to make sure that there is a next before we iterate. So the only way or the only criteria that we have to iterate this linked list is that there must be a next. If there is no next, then we don't iterate. Again, if there is no head node, then we immediately return. So let's write the pseudocode so that as I write it, it becomes clear. So we have a function. Let me write it like in a Python kind of pseudocode. So we have remove duplicate, and it takes a head. Okay. Now the first thing we want to check is that whether there is actually anything in this head. So I'm going to say here if the head is none, I quickly return this function, okay? If the head is none, quickly return. Now the head is not none, I'm also going to check if there is a next. That's the only time we can iterate. So I'm going to say while head dot next is not null, or none or null, depending on the language you use. So we only iterate when head dot next is not null. All right, so in this case now, we've come onto this very case. In this case, head.next is not known. So we're gonna check if there's a duplicate, if that next item is a duplicate. So I'm gonna write an if statement here. If head.data, if is equal to head.next.data. Okay, so in this case, if there is a duplicate at this point, now if you look at it, you see that this if statement applies for 1, 2, 3. In this case, head.next.data is equal to head.data here and here. However, what we want to do here is different from what we want to do here, because ultimately we have to bypass this second one by setting the next here to next.next. You understand? And in this case, we are setting, in this case, .next, head.next.next. We are setting here, but in this case, head.next. We are going to set it to null because we don't have nothing here. So let's write the pseudocode and it becomes a bit interesting. Now we are saying that if there is a duplicate in the next item, what we are going to do here is to check whether the following, the third item in the line, is a null. And if it's a null, we are going to now set the head.next to null. All right, so while head.next is not known, if there's a duplicate, meanwhile, I think, so permit me to write here, to just get the pointer here. Give me 1 second. So instead of using the head, I'm simply going to get the pointer here. I'm simply going to say node is equal to head. Okay. Okay. So I could actually say use node here. So permit me to just correct it. So I'm going to use node here in all these places. So I'm going to say node. I'm going to say node and here node. Okay. All right. So this is where we are. And if there's a duplicate, we are going to do another if statement here. If node dot next dot next, if it's equal to none, right? So if it is equal to none, because node.next.next is equal to none, so we are now going to bypass this duplicate here and set node.next equal to none here. Okay, so in this case, we have gotten to the end of the list and we simply break. All right. So at this point, we have covered this very first case, and let's now look at the second one. I'm going to say else. We now say node dot next. So we have, in this case now, have say node dot next here is null. In this case, I'm going to simply advance, in this case, set this right here, right? So it's equal to node dot next is equal to node dot next dot next. Okay. All right. So this is fine. Now remember, we are checking for duplicates right here, right? Remember? Now we are moving on to the third one now in this case. Now in this case, we've adjusted this to be this to point here, but we have something remaining right here. So what it means that we need to now advance, because in this case it's going to say node.next is not equal to none, because when we advance from here to here, which is here, and we have something remaining here, node.next, in this while loop here is not equal to none, we are going to now advance. So I'm going to say else here. I'm going to now say node dot next is equal to it's not node dot next, so it's going to be node is equal to node dot next. All right. So let's see. So at this point, we've advanced one step, node.next. So once we advance one step all the way to this place, we now have come back to something like what we have here. So we have null here, and once we are here, we can now apply what we have here. Once there is no duplicate, we can move on to the next one and set this to null. So take some time to get your head around it. I think it's quite clear. Let's now write it in the code window and let's see. Meanwhile, we are going to, at the end of the day, we are going to return the head. Remember, this is where we are. We set the head right here. So at the end of the day, we are going to return the head. So let's go ahead to write it in HackerRank window and let's see if it works. All right, so we are saying that from here, we are going to check first if head is equal to none and simply return nothing because we don't return nothing. So in this case, head is not none. We are going to say while there is next item. Sorry, let me set the pointer here. So I'm going to say node is equal to head. So while node.next exists, while there is node.next, while there is node.next, we are going to now check if there is a duplicate. So I'm going to say if node, permit me to kind of increase the size of the window. Let me see if it will allow. Great. So if node.data is equal to node.next.data, right? If node.data is equal to node.next.data, meaning that there is a duplicate. And if there is a duplicate, there are two things we have to do. I'm going to do another check to check if node.next is equal to none. In this case, I'll simply set the we are going to simply set node.next equal to none, and then we terminate the loop. We simply break. Okay, so now in the next case where we have node.next.next is not none, meaning that there is something there. So I'm going to say else. In this case, we now have node.next because we are now trying to skip one item and set to the next one, which is not none. So I'm going to say node.next is equal to node.next.next. So at this point, what happened is that we now skip the duplicate. Okay, so yeah, I think I got it right. And so we are now going to go back right here. So in this case, in the case of no duplicate, when you look ahead and there is no duplicate, you simply advance one step. So I'm going to say here else. It's going to be on this level. So I'm going to advance one step by saying node is equal to node.next. And at this point, everything should be fine. So at the end of this while loop, I'm going to just return the head. Okay, so remember the head is a node which actually is pointer to the very first element. So at the end of this while loop, all the duplicates has been removed. So let's just try to check if everything worked, and if that is the case, we give ourselves a thumbs up. So I'm going to run this code just to see. So the sample test case passed successfully. I'm going to submit it to see if it's also going to pass all the other test cases. So I think everything worked perfectly well. And I'd like to say a big thumbs up to you if you've come this far. This is day 24. We've done a good job. So thank you for being there. I'd also like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed, and also leave me a comment to let me know if there's something I need to change or if you have some challenges following. I remain Kindson the Tech Pro, and I'm always there for you.